Hello and welcome to my little special episode on Armored Core Verdict Day. This time, this is basically going to be about half an hour of complete and utter retardation. If you're not interested in watching me being dumb as fuck, with stupid ass builds, with silly rules, then you probably shouldn't be watching this. But if you are interested in silly things, then you might enjoy this. So, basically what we're doing here is we're going to be playing as tanks, except we're boats. So we can't jump, we can't high boost, and we're only using howitzers and whatever you can fit in the shoulder. It's kind of stupid and hilarious, but also fun. So I had tons of fun recording this shit. On a side note, this was about 52 minutes of footage recorded originally, and then I found out that about half of that was just in the garage, so I edited all that out. So this is about a 27 minute video, I think. So hopefully this isn't too unpleasant to watch. Now this first one is just going to go directly into the battle. Also conveniently for the Armored Core games, they kind of have like black screens like at the end of and the beginning of every match, so it's easy to edit this. I also really enjoyed what was it? I'm trying to remember. I really enjoy the music for this game, and I'm so happy that this game has like really short loading screens. Because if this would have been in Armored Core for Answer, this video probably would have been an extra like 5 to 10 minutes just of loading screens if I had to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like editing out the loading screen entirely because I like to keep it there. Just so it gives me a little buffer to talk and breathe. But yeah. So right here, I've already found Mari and Rogan who are fighting each other over there. Except I can't hit anything because I can't really see where they are. Because visibility is kind of poor when you're a tank and you're on the ground, or more specifically here, the water. So yeah, there's that. The howitzers I picked were actually howitzers that normally would not be used, even on like silly howitzer tank maps. Or yeah, because normally with howitzers you would use the ones that do more damage but fire slower. Here I brought the ones that do less damage but have bigger AOE explosions and fire more quickly. They also have very short range, but as you can see there, it kind of did a lot of damage and did 20k to that tank and destroyed him instantly. I also brought high-speed missiles in my shoulders because why the fuck not? I don't know, I kind of felt like it. I wanted to bring something that felt like a boat when I was playing this. For some reason, high-speed missiles spoke to me as a boat. Also here I'm kind of like running low on ammo already because I fired so many times. Not really hit anything. I don't think I only landed like one shot. But my advantage here is that because I was the one who was kind of late to the party, I have more health, and so I can probably take maybe 2 or 3 hits from howitzers before I die, whereas Mario over here will die in 1 or 2, depending on how effective they are. And right there, I kind of just got really lucky and Mario waltzed right into those howitzer shots and died instantly. So yes, right there I won. Completely skill based. Was not because I was a boat with more health than the other boats. I also brought Gatling guns on the shoulders because I don't know, in case I ran out of howitzer ammo. But most of these matches are fairly short, with the exception of one at the very end. But yeah, most of these are quite short, which is nice. I also like the art they put on the loading screens for this game. It's really nice art for this game. I really like the art style of this game. My only problem is that it's kind of dark and sometimes hard to see what you're doing, especially in scan mode. So right here, I believe I switched to vertical missiles because they were more boat-like, and they would also do more damage because you know the high-speed missiles that I was using were kind of doing nothing. So over there, I think that's Rogan, if not Mario, one of the two. They also spawn in a building, and they're gonna choose to stay on top of that building and use the height advantage, which you know makes sense, but very little about this makes sense. So I'm just gonna run straight at them, trying to see if I can land a few shots on their little building. Because since my howitzers have a really large explosion radius, if I can get some shots to land on the platform with them, it'll do some sort of splash damage usually. But I'm not a very good shot, so I kind of, instead of doing the smart thing, I decided to approach. Right there, yeah, that was a decent hit. I did like 7,000 damage there. Also, these vertical missiles are going to help me a lot because they're quite accurate against tanks and doing a pretty good amount of damage. And there's a large missile. That kind of hurts. So right here he has the height advantage and also has stronger missiles. That is Rogan, I'm pretty sure his AC's name Saber. But yeah. Mari came up behind me and started to also start shooting at Rogan because he's on a building. He's not being a boat, he's being a tank on a building. So we killed Rogan. However, now I have 8,000 health left and Mari's at full health. So chances of me winning this are kind of low, as you may have guessed. So yes, I just died instantly. I think I was able to get like one shot off before I died. But yeah, I died pretty quick. Sad ending, but whatever. It was still hilarious. Like those little particles floating around over the water. You don't really notice this kind of shit while you're actually playing the game. I don't know if that's from like my explosion or if that's just there above the water. I'm like, okay, for this match, I believe I win this match just basically mostly on like raw damage, or I at least get very close to winning. Because this match I bring VTFs, and VTFs turned out to be really good for this kind of silly boat tank battles. Here, trying to get my shots off, missing because I'm a horrible shot, but I'm trying. Also, not really landing my recon units anywhere, which is kind of dumb. So right there, Fantasy Overdrive right there is Mari's AC. I don't know why he named it Fantasy Overdrive, but he did. I'm assuming it's a Toho thing. I don't really know Toho very well. I mean, I kind of know Toho, but not really all that well. All I know is Cherno is best. Cherno is strongest fairy. Right here, splash damage being really useful. Here actually I did something really awesome. And I was able to stun lock them by using the splash damage of the howitzers to keep them from getting out of the water. So that was pretty awesome. Right here, not really a good shot with my howitzers, but my missiles are doing good damage. And I have decent enough health. So right there, I got very close to winning, but I took a howitzer shot to the face and died instantly. The main problem with my howitzers is they don't do as much damage as theirs, so like I can't one-shot them down from 20,000 health, whereas they can to me. So yeah. But that was definitely a shorter one because we all spawned very close to each other. Because we're tanks and we don't have a lot of mobility, sometimes finding each other can take a while if we don't spawn very close. Especially on a map where your movement is very restricted, unless you choose to wall jump, in which case you can kind of just fly around. But since tanks can't wall jump and we're not jumping anyway, that's how this went. Here I switched to rockets because I'm like, oh, rockets, they'll do more damage. Problem is that I'm a terrible shot and I can't hit anything. So hitting stuff with rockets is entirely different from, you know, shooting the rockets. So over there, who have I found? I don't remember. Let's find out. Oh, or not, because I forget to hit the scan button. Okay, that's Mari. Mari's piloting a relatively light tank, if I can tell. Also because I have like the weird habit of collecting like random tunes of weapons that like aren't even all that useful. Some of the stuff that I have actually turned out to be pretty useful here. Additionally, also right here, because there's a little ledge right there on the edge of this little road that I'm standing on, my howitzer shots are hitting the ledge and then blowing up in my face, which is not good for my health, as you may have guessed, because howitzer shots are kind of dangerous. Thankfully, my own howitzer shots are fairly weak compared to theirs, but I'm still kind of doing a lot of damage to myself. So right here, I'm going to try and take advantage of the splash damage by firing at the walls behind them, taking advantage of the fact that we're in really tight, really close quarters, and forcing them to walk into the explosions, basically. And I believe right here Mari does something really smart and uses the splash damage of the rockets to kill me here, which is kind of what I was doing for my howitzers earlier. It's kind of interesting that they explode on contact with water, even though they're rockets. I don't know why rockets would explode on contact with water. Also right here I go for retard and I start typing in the Skype chat that we were all in, and then I forget that I'm recording. So after like a few seconds of this I remember and I start switching over to the fucking spectator camera. There we go. And now here you will witness something truly glorious. Something that only Rogan can do. So he's got a massive advantage here, but he wants to finish his style. So he goes for the Giga Missile. Unfortunately, because the game also requires you to stand still, he sinks like a rock in the water. So he starts taking water damage. And then now he has to find Mari and shoot at him. But I guess Mari like got at like a weird angle or like was too close, and he didn't get the lock on his Giga Missile here, which resulted in him getting not a very accurate shot. You see Lionel all over there in the background. So since he thought he was gonna get the kill there, he didn't charge up his second shot, which may have actually killed something here, but he can't do anything. Also, Mari went full retard and exploded the howitzers on himself, killing himself, which causes Rogan to win by default. So truly, glorious moments in the Verdict Day battles. On a side note, we're all capable players. We just kind of went full retard for this session, as you may have guessed by the fact that we're using tanks on a water map with no lock-on weapons in some scenarios. But yeah, I think here I switched back to the VTFs again because I'm like, you know, those were a lot more useful. Yeah, I definitely switched back to the VTFs. Those 45 shots, that's pretty unique to the VTFs. Oh, I believe this is the round where Rogan forgot that we were all tanks and he thought we were gonna bring like target guns or something. So he's kind of jumping around in a heavy reverse directed AC with 4 target guns, I believe. Which kind of almost works out to my benefit, but doesn't really. Because Rogan kind of finds Mari and gets mostly wrecked by Mari first, if I remember correctly. Although I do believe I win this. It's not a very quick victory, but I do win this. Now, Mari and Rogan are over there on the other side of this bridge, and I'm a tank, and, or more precisely, I'm a boat and I can't jump. I have to figure out how to get across the bridge. Because, you know, I can't really, like, float over. I can't just, like, crash through the bridge or anything. So I wound up wandering around for a little while, walking to the boundary, start walking back. Eventually, I get over to this little ledge over here where the water is broken, or where the bridge is broken, and there's, like, some rubble I can climb on. Takes a little while, but I do get there. You know, tank life. Tank life. Tank life indeed. So yeah, it does take a little while, but eventually I'm able to like slide on that little piece of rubble. Yeah, just like that. So I slid onto the rubble, rolled around over here a little more, slid on some more rubble, and I was able to make it to the other side of the bridge. Now here I'm firing my missiles because I'm like, oh, I got a lock on, and I'm like, oh no, Mari's on the other side of the building. My missiles aren't doing shit. So I thought I would get it through the buildings again, but nope, Mari's on the other side of the building again. Sure, I finally get my missiles to hit something, and I'm blowing myself up with the howitzers again. Again, because I'm full retard. And a third time, because why not? And then finally I'm like, oh, there's a ledge there. So I hop in the water. I start trying to use my splash damage to get some damage off. Although here, I believe that Mari has not brought a howitzer tank, but has instead brought a tank with vendetta blades on it. Because I guess we all went full retard for this, and no one really knew what was going on. So Mari brought blade tank, I brought howitzer tank, and Rogan brought reverse joint with target guns on it. Because lol, why not? And there I'm able to get this more or less the splash damage stun lock with the howitzers again. Which is pretty nice, actually. It's kind of a cool use, even if it's extremely limited. Now, I believe in the next match we all switched over to vendetta tanks, but I spawned too far away from everyone and I couldn't find out where anyone was. So Rogan was killed by Mari, and then Mari, I guess, out of bounded to suicide. And so basically it was just like 5 minutes of me wandering around the map with nothing happening. So I cut that fight out entirely. So one of the fights is actually missing, but like literally nothing happens that you can see. So that's why I removed it. What? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't on the next one. Well, this one looks like another howitzer tank battle. Oh no, this was the best one. So we started to use UAVs for this one, except that you can still change your angle that you're firing at, even though you can't see what angle you're firing at with the UAVs active. So like, I'm just ended up firing into the ground here and blowing myself up. I think UAV mode would actually be kind of useful if it was like if it showed up as like a little radar in the box, or a little radar box in the corner, because it's pretty much useless when recon units exist. since you can see behind cover anyway. So as you can quite plainly see here, my howitzers are doing more damage to myself than anyone else. I believe I got hit by Vendetta Blades again. But yeah, there it is. There's the Vendetta Blades on Mari's Vendetta tank. So here, switched over to Rogan's point of view. He's also in UAV mode, and when he finds something to shoot at, he'll have the same problem that I did in shooting the floor, which kind of sucks for him. Yeah, there's Mari running in, going full Vendetta tank. Now, mind you, had Rogan aimed his shots a little higher, he probably would have killed Mari right there. But since we're all using UAVs, no one can really tell what's going on. The irony of like a recon unit, no one can see what's happening. I believe Rogan went for a kick there instead of just deciding to blow himself up with more howitzer bullets, which is fine. This was a really silly match anyway, so even our rules of no high boosting or whatever don't really matter that much. Now for the next match, I don't remember what the next one was. Maybe the next one I also bring the blades? Yeah, I do. Okay, so for this one I brought, I believe Vendetta Blades and Pile Drivers on a slightly more efficient AC with lots of health. No, I didn't even bring the Vendetta Blades, I just brought full Pile Drivers. I brought the Pile Drivers that have the most ammo, and I brought more ammo with double slot shoulders. So I have like a stupid amount of Pile Driver ammo right now, but I brought the weakest type of Pile Drivers because I'm like, oh, I'll just keep punching them. So I'm a retard, right? And so I decided that I'm gonna bring a tank with a bunch of Pile Drivers and stuff like that, and see if I can smash someone's face in, because that would be amazing. But it doesn't quite work. The other thing that's kind of funny about this match is that by this point, like, all of the rules of no high boosting, no jumping, or whatever are all completely thrown out the window. Because if we tried to do this without, if we tried to do like melee tanks without using boosts or jumps, then it kind of would work out terribly for all of us. It would be really boring to watch and really boring to play, because we would just be like slowly floating towards each other with melee weapons in hand and like nothing happening. So here I'm like, oh, I can get in and land the flying pile, except that I cut my boosters too early and miss entirely. So I'm like, oh, I'll try again. So here, oh, there I got a glancing hit with one of them that I miss, and I'm like, okay, well, instead of turning around, I go that way, and then oh, I miss again, and then right here, and then I'm dead. So yeah, that's my brightest moment. Had I brought like the regular pile drivers, I probably would have gotten a kill there. But I brought the silly pile drivers because I was feeling silly. But yes, we did indeed bring pile driver tanks, because lol, why the fuck not? Probably would have been a better map to use for that than that map, because that map is kind of bad. So here, what you're about to see is more or less 8 minutes of facepalm worthy, complete and total retardation. We have 3 tanks armed with nothing but pulse machine guns. If you feel your brain cells dying, you may want to stop watching. But if you think this is hilarious, then feel free to continue. So here I did what I thought was sensible, and I brought a tank with very high health, very high defense, and more ammo than anyone else, because I brought 4 pulse machine guns with double slot ammo shoulders. So I have like 700 shots for each of my pulse machine guns. And also my pulse machine guns are tuned for rapid fire, so they're actually doing a lot of DPS against Mari's tank right here, this Mari's light tank. Although Mari's significantly faster than I am, so Mari can kind of avoid me a little better. But I'm gonna get a lot more damage off, and because my defense and health is so high, Mari can't really do anything to me at all. Which is kind of sad. I mean, for all intents and purposes, like, this match was more or less as I did from the start, because I have more than enough health to outlast both of all of their weapons. Because they didn't think to bring super tanky tanks like me. Although if they had brought super tanky tanks, this probably would have been even more boring than it was. Because there's some parts of this where we're just kind of staring at each other like our brains are just melted. We have given up. But yeah, this was kind of amusing and had me giggling the entire time that I was playing this, because it was just like the idea of using the most ineffective strategy possible against an enemy tank, trying to see just how it would work out. And this is how it works out, apparently. Very long match with not a lot happening, but a lot of staring at each other with pulse machine guns angrily. And what else happened here? It basically becomes a matter of who can keep shooting the other person the longest. Since we're also tanky, you know, being tanks are tanky. But here, I think Mari's gonna die right here because Mari is kind of low on health, and I'm able to just keep damaging him. Yep, look at that car wash. Mari calls it a car wash because the pulse machine guns make a soft, like, water almost type sound when you fire them. And when you're firing at a tank, you're kind of not really doing anything except cleaning them. Although here, this proves that you can eventually kill an enemy tank with pulse machine guns. It will just take about 8 minutes to do so. Which obviously is not a viable strategy by any stretch of the imagination. It also kind of requires that you are completely immune to whatever the enemy tank is doing, because if they fire back at you with like real weapons, then you kind of would be dead before you even got through like a quarter of their health. Here I'm kind of running low on ammo on my first set of pulse machine guns, but it doesn't really matter too much because I have another set in the back. Now the first set was tuned for rapid fire, so it didn't take up very much energy, but the second set is tuned for power because I don't know. And so that set takes up significantly more energy when I start using it. Here I'm pretty much out of ammo. Yeah, completely out of ammo now, so I have to purge my guns. I mean, I don't have to, but I decide to because why the hell not? So now I'm switching over to the power tuned pulse machine guns. Kind of just shooting away, splashing everyone with our pulse machine gun plasma. It's a pulse machine gun, so what the hell is a pulse? Is it like... I could never determine if these are supposed to be like electrical energy or plasma or something. I mean, I'm assuming it's like some sort of like very weak plasma splash of some sort, right? Because it does heat damage. But yeah, I don't know. We're just gently washing each other with plasma. Because lol. Also, I brought the most stylish core in the game for this, Monoceros. Monoceros core, I believe. He's the one that has like a big horn on the front. It is a beautiful core, but it's pretty much worthless outside of like stacking health and defense. But you have to stack like a ridiculous amount of health and defense for the Monoceros to actually be worthwhile, because it's very heavy. But here, it kind of fits perfectly. Another thing I should probably mention is that on Rogan's tank here, he kind of brought amps for his pulse machine guns instead of more ammo. So he's burning through his energy really fast and not necessarily gaining a lot of extra damage. So that's kind of a mistake on his part when he chose the build. Now mind you, he's getting a lot of... I mean, he gets a pretty big increase to his damage, but at the same time, if you're going through all your energy so you can't fire, then what's the point? Whereas for me, I brought pulse machine guns that have fairly low energy consumption and high fire rates. Which is basically just what you want for DPS if you're not caring about breaking defense points. Which here, obviously I can't, because there's no way in hell I'm going to break a tank's defense with a pulse machine gun. Dancing tanks. Here are the dancing tanks. But as you can see here, I've only taken 14,000 damage, and Rogan is taking something like 30,000. So I don't believe he has enough ammo to kill me. Like, anywhere near enough ammo to kill me. Just because I think Rogan's AC is double amped, if I'm not mistaken. And dual amped pulse machine guns are going to take a lot of energy. Can't really see his AC too well. But whatever. Now right here, he's like, oh, I can jump higher than you. Now had he done this when he had like some sort of an AP lead over me, then this would have been really smart, because, you know, not too much I can do here. Except stare angrily at the wall. But because he doesn't have an AP lead, he has to try and damage me. And since I can do more damage to him every time he passes through, then he's not really going to be able to win this. Unless I somehow run out of ammo, or he becomes really evasive in the air and I can't hit him. Now here, I'm just kind of waiting for him to pop out, taking a few shots, waiting a little longer. I'm also trying to get a little bit of the splash damage by shooting at the ledge of the platform. See if I can make this a little faster. But it didn't always work. Now here he's not moving at all anymore, so I start jumping to take shots at him. Which actually works out pretty well because I can get enough of an angle that I can actually hit him with a couple shots. But yeah. If your brain hasn't melted by now, then it must have already melted a long time ago. And you just don't even know it. Here Rogan's like, oh, I'll take advantage of my mobility. And which is the smarter idea because, you know, I can't turn very fast being a fat ass tank with fat ass legs and fat ass core and arms and head. But he doesn't have enough time really left where he would be able to actually kill me. Or he doesn't have enough time or ammo left to kill me. And so he's basically stuck back on hiding on the ledge again. But he has so little health now that I can actually kill him pretty effectively with this. I'm doing like 100 damage per pass. And right here I'm pretty sure he's dead. Yep. Also here I used my secret rally on top because I don't even fucking know. It was a victory after 8 minutes of staring at each other with full machine guns. So then, I hope you had fun. See you around. I'll be making more of these eventually. Although probably maybe not quite this retarded. Have a good day. Play Armored Core.